of our sport.
How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. This is a webcast / podcast about wrestling and various wrestling topics, whatever we kind of see fit to do that week. And if you are listening to us, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify under Dailies Downloads and the Nitty Gritty. All of my shows are all under one umbrella there, so you can find us there. And if this is your first time listening to us or watching us, this week is going to be one of our Fever Dream episodes. And this week, since we're doing things a little bit differently, I'm calling this this a pay-per-view, Leonard. We'll call this Twisted Fever Dreams. How about that? That's
okay.
That's my impromptu title for this episode. So
I think that works because we're twisting the usual format. So.
That's right. And so the format is that we each have random name generators. We have inputted lists of male wrestlers, lists of female wrestlers, lists of gimmick matches, lists of belts and managers and tag teams. And we have a handful, whatever we feel like doing, a handful of matches that we are going to pick random names out. And whoever comes up, Leonard and I will discuss who we think would win said match. And we think it's a lot of fun. And if you like fantasy booking or just kind of shooting the shit about wrestling and dream matches, these episodes are usually a lot of fun. And hopefully, if you can't watch YouTube all the time, hopefully it's easier for you to listen to us. So,
and it should be mentioned that we're not drinking tonight.
That's right. That's right. Sometimes we drink when we do this. We're not. So it's going to be ultra serious, this one, I think.
Yes. Well, we drank last time. And as you see, when we get to the main event, it led to issues.
That's right. That's right. It did. But that's okay, because the main event's going to be fun. And without further ado, this week, the way we changed it up is there will be two matches in here that we have pre-selected. And in this case, I have pre-selected a triple threat women's match. Leonard does not know who these participants are, and I have a gimmick attached to this triple threat women's match. So, Leonard, are you ready for our first match?
I am ready. Hit me with it.
All right. So, the triple threat women's match, it will be the man, Becky Lynch, versus Tessa Blanchard versus Chyna in a first blood match.
Ooh, that's interesting. Because normally when you were giving me the names, I was like, oh, well, Chyna seems like also ran to the other two because they're more technical. But when you talk about a first blood match, then someone who is big and beefy and strong like Chyna, she gets, elevated a little bit. Like I think she would maybe have the advantage over the other two, particularly Tessa, because Tessa's fairly small. Especially when you consider her to Chyna. But Becky, as we know, is pretty tough, can take a hit, can deliver a hit. And being the biggest name of the three, I'm going to go with star power and toughness and give that win to Becky Lynch.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Even when I picked the names out, I was like, oh man, I don't even know who I would pick here. And I have to say, I do think that Tessa Blanchard is the odd one out. Now she's very, I don't know if I would say popular right now. I know there's been a little bit of controversy surrounding Tessa Blanchard, but I know that she has had a lot of momentum, let's say, over the past year or two. And so I do think she'd be a contender. But when you put Becky Lynch in there and Chyna in there, those are two really A-list female talent. And I do think that it's quite possible that with Chyna's strength and her agility, that she would make that blood appear first. So, I was tempted, Leonard, to just go with you on this one because you had
okay.
strong reasoning there, but I have to go with Chyna here, I think, because being that it's a first blood match, I just think that she would, with her power, her wielding a chair or throwing people into posts or stairs, I see her coming out with the victory here. So in the case of a split, we're going to have to table Becky Lynch and Chyna for a future match
Okay.
in the women's division, right?
All right. I think so. They come back next time, and um, what? Well, a different gimmick, or
Yeah, why not?
I think so. Yes. Okay.
So our next match goes back to our usual format, which is random names generated. Leonard is going to take this one. It's a tag team match, 2-on-2.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna need to figure some stuff out. So the first team is the Funkadactyls, which would be Naomi and Cameron.
Okay.
And then they are facing the Network.
Okay.
So, Chad, do you know who the Network is?
I was thinking about it as you were saying the name, and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I cannot remember who's in that.
So I looked up the Network because I didn't know who they were. Apparently, this was a stable that was formed in 1999 when ECW moved to TNN.
Okay.
So this was the stable, I guess, recognizing the Network. So it's a stable, it's not a tag team. So we're going to have to figure out what the tag team is.
Okay.
So our choices, so the members of the Network are Cyrus, so Cyrus the Virus, Rhino, Tajiri, Scotty Anton, Steve Carino, Jack Victory, and Lou E. Dangerously. That's got to be the most
dangerously.
Yes,
I did not know that
he was like existed. A fake Paul. Yes, so that's got to be the worst stable I think I've ever seen. That is a pretty crappy stable. So who's the tag team out of here?
Well,
so I would think it's a combination of Rhino, Tajiri, or Carino.
Yeah, I would say Rhino and Tajiri. Let's just say
let's go with Rhino and Tajiri. Let's go Rhino. So it's Rhino and Tajiri versus Naomi and Cameron.
Can't say as I remember much about Cameron, but
she was basically Naomi.
Okay, so this is two females.
Yes, yeah. The Funkadactyls were the two ladies that came out with Brodus Clay. And I would like to mention that Chad made these lists. I had nothing to do with these lists.
That's true. That's true. And when I saw the Funkadactyls, I probably did not remember that they were two females. So if you
want, Leonard, those were the women who came out with the Funkasaurus. That was Brodus Clay.
Well, if you want, Leonard, you could generate another tag team to make this a little bit more even.
I think the Funkadactyls are going to win. How about that? How about that? I'm going to give the win to the Funkadactyls.
Okay. Well, Naomi's pretty good in the ring.
Yeah, so. She is. Now, if you want me to generate another team, I can do that here.
Let's if we're being real here, it's one gore and it's over.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, the Enforcers. So that's Larry Zbyszko and Arn Anderson.
Okay, so that makes the match more interesting, but also just as easy to decide.
Yeah, so it's Larry and Arn versus Tajiri and Rhino, which I think could be a pretty good match because Arn and I think here Arn and Larry can work with a bunch of different guys.
They can. That's true.
Can get matches out with different people. Rhino can go in a certain way. Tajiri can go in a certain way. You're going to get some mix up of the style. I mean, I'm going with the Enforcers here, but I don't think it's a terrible match. And I think it's a match, if you give it time and you just let Arn and Larry lead the way, that it's a pretty decent match. But yeah, so I'm going to go with the Enforcers.
Yeah, I would go with the Enforcers here too. They're just more rounded and skilled in the ring. I mean, but we are dealing with, pretty good phase of Rhino and Tajiri. So I think that specifically Tajiri would have some really good exchanges with the Enforcers. And, Rhino could as well. But it's just, in the case of Rhino, it's definitely a clash of styles there. But it could still be an interesting match. So, yeah, I think that we're going to go with the Enforcers to be the winner. And the next match I have assembled, it is one-on-one. It is fictional wrestling characters, Leonard's favorite category.
It is. It's one of my favorites, yes.
And you had mentioned this potential matchup last time we did this.
Oh,
So it was the first one that came up.
I don't remember what that was.
Randy the Ram Robinson
Mhm.
against Captain Insano.
Yes, because I thought the revolting blob was Captain Insano, didn't I?
Yeah. So Captain Insano is from the Waterboy, in case everybody out there doesn't realize, and Randy the Ram Robinson obviously is from the Darren Aronofsky film, The Wrestler. So this is a big matchup right here.
Yes, and Captain Insano is played by Paul White, aka the Big Show, and Randy the Ram is his name just leapt out of my head. Mickey Rourke. Yes, Mickey Rourke. See, here's the thing that makes this interesting to me to consider is that Captain Insano is played by an actual wrestler. So does Paul White's actual wrestling attributes translate to Captain Insano? I would think, and this was several years ago. So this is like a young, thin, comparatively thin Paul White. So, and but in the film, see, and if we're taking it from the movie, then you've got like an old broken down Mickey Rourke,
right?
Old broken down Randy the Ram versus like an in his prime Captain Insano. I gotta go Captain Insano.
Yeah, I would agree with you in this case. Captain Insano, this was Paul White, physically, I would say at one of his peaks of his career. And, he could still really go in the ring. Randy the Ram, although he was in some death matches and all sorts of crazy stuff, he was at the end of his career. So you have to take that into account, I would think. So I think it's safe to go with Captain Insano, right, Leonard?
Right. And I just looked at the Waterboys from 98. So yeah, that's pretty prime time for the Big Show.
That's right. Well, Leonard,
yes.
Next is your Fatal 4-Way, your pre-chosen Fatal 4-Way. So
pre-chosen Fatal 4-Way. So keeping in the spirit of the Fever Dream matches, where we have guys of different eras and different gimmicks in the system, so people can face themselves.
Right.
My Fatal 4-Way is Midnight Rockers Shawn Michaels with Marty Jannetty versus Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels with Sherry Martel versus DX Shawn Michaels with Chyna versus Comeback Shawn Michaels with God.
That's you just wanted to do this one time because we can never be sure that this is actually going to happen in a random drawing.
That's right. I originally started to think of like 4 different guys, and then I was like, well, wait a minute. You don't have to do them.
So read them again for me. So right. I'll reread them. So it's Midnight Rockers Shawn Michaels, right?
Yes, with Marty Jannetty on the outside.
Yeah, okay. HBK Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak
with
Kid.
Sherry.
Then we have the DX version of Shawn Michaels.
With
now,
Chyna.
Is this? We'll say it's DX version, so it could be either first run or second run DX, I guess, right?
I was thinking more first run DX.
That's what I thought too. Okay, and then we have comeback Shawn Michaels with God. So.
Yes, so that would be like the 03 to the end of his second retirement, Shawn Michaels, basically. But I was thinking of like about 03 to maybe the DX return.
Right.
Was kind of where I was thinking.
So I have a feeling we're going to disagree on this.
Okay.
But for me, this choice really is not that difficult. So I'm going to go with DX Shawn Michaels. And the reason is I think that he was at his peak there. Now, obviously, there were some injuries that would occur that caused him to become comeback Shawn Michaels. But I think that the DX version of Shawn Michaels around the era of Bret Hart and that whole feud and Steve Austin, I think that was peak Shawn Michaels in the ring, peak Shawn Michaels on the mic. And the argument could be made in that there's a little kinks in the armor of any of the other Shawn Michaels versions there, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with DX Shawn Michaels.
Okay, my theory is a little bit different. DX Shawn Michaels is the one with the most politicking. He's not going to job to the other three guys. He's just not.
Right. So
Either he wins or he takes a powder. Like he just like walks out and is not even involved at some point. He just gets mad and grabs Chyna and walks out.
you're not going to say he lost his smile, are you?
Yeah, he's going to lose his smile and leave the match. But you know what'd be interesting here to me would be seeing Chyna and Sherry interact on the outside.
Oh, that would be great.
I would love to see that. I think that would be a lot of fun there. But yeah, I mean, I really like the HBK version, and I would love to see all the different versions interact with each other.
Yeah.
You know, not just physically in the ring, but on promos and such.
Yeah.
And you know, HBK Shawn Michaels is going to go after Midnight Rockers Shawn Michaels.
Absolutely. And then they'll probably go to the bar later on that night.
Yes. But they're gonna go hang out later with Marty. But he's gonna go after him. But you know, comeback Shawn Michaels, he knows, hey, he's gonna do the job to himself, so he's cool with that. So I would kind of a different theory than yours, still going with DX.
Oh, you are? Okay, there you go.
And while it is sort of peak Shawn Michaels, it is also peak political Shawn Michaels. So I think at the end of the day, that's the version that won't job to any of the other three and has the most clout not to job to the other three.
Well, that's a good reasoning, actually. But we both came out with the same answer, which is fun for me.
Yes, different avenue to get there, but the same answer.
So, Leonard, I think we do have time before our main event for a mixed tag, and I've already generated the name of one woman and one man. And while you're doing yours, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that my tag team, my mixed tag team, is one of the best ever, I think.
Wow, that's pretty good. I need to get my women's list up.
So for the females, I have Alundra Blayze.
Okay.
And her tag team partner, her male tag team partner, is the Japanese version of Kenny Omega.
Ooh.
Right. So you have Kenny Omega and Alundra Blayze in a tag team, ready to face whoever you have.
Okay. So, oh shoot. I'm having issues. I pulled the gimmick list is on the bottom of the female list, and I pulled everything, and it's just giving me gimmick matches.
So your tag team partner it's a male person with a gimmick.
Gimmick, yeah.
It's like The Rock with a steel cage.
Yeah. It's a kendo stick, actually.
Yeah, The Rock with a kendo stick versus Kenny Omega and Alundra Blayze. That's amazing.
You know what? I would have The Rock win that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I would go with The Rock.
All right, go ahead, Leonard.
All right, so my mixed tag is going to be Velvet Sky and Mordecai. At least it rhymes.
Yeah, that's about all that tag team has going on, I would think. Yeah, so I will start. I'm going to pick my tag team, Kenny Omega and Alundra Blayze. Both of them are so athletic, so good in the ring. Alundra Blayze was still peak at Medusa, or whatever, at this point. Mm-hmm. Kenny Omega in Japan, in my opinion, whether it's Kenny Omega in Japan or Kenny Omega right now, he's the best talent in the world right now. That's my opinion. But when he was in Japan, he was really great. So I would see few tag teams beating these two. So what do you think?
Yeah, I have to say that I am not a fan of AEW Kenny Omega, and I'm not particularly familiar with his Japanese work. I do know some of it. I have seen some matches, and I would say I much prefer his Japanese work. Alundra Blayze, who, as you mentioned, is Medusa. This was her run in the WWF as women's champion, and she didn't have a lot of competition, but they imported a lot of women from Japan for her to wrestle against. And if you look, this is really some of the best competition and focus she ever had in her career. She didn't really have a lot when she started in the AWA, and they didn't do anything with her in WCW once she got there. So these are good versions of both these people. Mordecai is Kevin Thorne, for those who didn't know or remember Kevin Thorne. I don't, I think Velvet Sky could, work with Kevin Thorne. I think they could work together. I think they could make a tag team. I think they could work together, but I don't believe that they could beat your tag team. So I would agree with you. I'll go Omega and Alundra Blayze, and but I think both these teams could be defeated by the Rock with a kendo stick.
Yeah, yes, that's probably true. Yes. So our main event, Leonard,
Okay.
is already down. It's back-to-back fatal four-ways, and we have a gimmick attached to this, which I will get going here.
Okay. And you have to remind me of who's in it. I do remember. See, last time when we did this, Chad and I disagreed on the winner of the main event for the Fever's Dreams title. But at the same time, since we were drinking, we both didn't realize that we had picked different guys in an earlier match.
It's true.
Until we kind of got to the end and was reviewing. So due to that, this matchup,
it's going to be our
has
champion.
all four guys. If I remember correctly, didn't I assign managers to everybody?
You did.
Okay.
Well, yes, you did.
Not to everyone. Three of them got managers.
Except for our champion. Our Nitty Gritty All Weight Galaxy champion is AWA Hulk Hogan. And in a sort of rematch, it's going to be AWA Hogan versus NWA Ric Flair versus Stunning Steve Austin versus WCW Rick Rude. And the gimmick is a Kennel from Hell match.
Oh, of course it is. Who was the managers?
In our state, I don't recall who the managers were.
I remember us picking managers, and I remember them fitting who they were with. I think Flair had Sonny. It doesn't matter.
You know what? It doesn't matter since they're going to be in a Kennel from Hell.
Right. The managers can't do anything. They're going to be inside the cage in with the dog poop.
Yeah.
So a Kennel from Hell, for those who don't know, you can look it up, is basically a Hell in a Cell with dogs on the outside in between the ring and the cage wall.
That's right.
And the time that this occurred, the dogs basically just pooped and humped each other on the outside.
So it would be an interesting match.
Yes.
So, Leonard, if you're still toying with the answer in your own mind,
yes,
I'm going to go. And you know what? Looking back at our previous Fever Mania episode and looking at what some of my reasoning was then, it's a little bit clearer to me now. As great as NWA Ric Flair is, I see AWA Hogan retaining his title here. I don't think any of these people are enough. I think that the cage favors Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that out of these four, I see Ric Flair, Rick Rude, Stunning Steve Austin. I see them getting too caught up in each other. And I see Hogan coming out the victor, although he probably has poop stuck to his boots. So there you go.
Yes. Now, if we were talking a straight up fatal four-way and with managers involved, because as I said, I believe Flair had a really good manager for him, I would probably lean towards Flair. But as you said, in this cage, I think that very much favors AWA Hogan. I think that the heels are not going to be able to cooperate to take Hogan out. One could argue that Stunning Steve is a lesser version of Stone Cold Steve, even though he was much better in the ring because this was pre-neck injury.
Right.
WCW Rick Rude could still go, but was a little older. He wasn't WWF Rick Rude. NWA Flair is, of course, the best Flair. But yeah, I think given the gimmick. I think Hogan works that gimmick the best. And since any manager would be, a moot point inside the cage,
Right.
I'm going to go with AWA Hogan as well.
Right. Well, the winner and still our champion, our Nitty Gritty Galaxy All-Weight champion, is AWA Hogan. And I would think that one of the participants in a future Fatal 4-Way match would be DX Shawn Michaels, who beat 3 other versions of himself to emerge the victor.
Ooh, so it'd be AWA Hogan versus DX Shawn Michaels.
And if we wanted to, we could keep it like that, or we could add 2 other people.
We could possibly do that.
Hopefully one of them is not Mordecai.
Hopefully not. Hopefully one will be The Rock with a kendo stick.
That's right. Yeah. Which, I mean, if it's The Rock with a kendo stick, I'm picking The Rock with a kendo stick all day.
I can't think of anything that could defeat The Rock with a kendo stick.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially if it's like peak Rock.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Hey, that'll be a next shirt.
Yeah,
The Rock with a kendo stick.
Rock with a kendo stick
Wins every time on the
maybe was it Kevin Nash with a taser?
Yeah. We'll have our shirt will be just different people with different random weapons.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash with taser.
Who would win?
All right. Well, Leonard, are we wrapping it up?
I think so. I closed out my list, so I can't generate a dark match. But this was another fun one, and I can't wait to do this again. These are always spectacular for their lunacy.
That's right. Well, Twisted Fever Dreams comes to a close. Until next time, if you think we've earned a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, please do so. We would appreciate it. Like our channel, our video on YouTube, and let us know what you think in the comments. And we will see you next week with our down and dirty move breakdown drop kicks.